right, so we should be live now on YouTube. Hello everybody, and welcome to the Beginner Cadence Bootcamp. This bootcamp is going to be a month-long process where we just learn about the Cadence language, and this is the intro call. So I'm going to be spending probably only about 10 minutes today talking about what the boot camp is going to be like. I also didn't expect a lot of people to be here today just because we're not going to actually be covering boot camp content. We're simply just going to be covering, what the boot camp is and how, to best go about it. Um, yeah, without further ado, I am currently on the boot camp's homepage on the Emerald Academy website. I'm also going to send it in the chat here in case any of you in Discord want to see this page. But this is, the go-to for this boot camp. We're actually slightly reworking this a little bit, so that instead of having to individually add each event to the calendar, we're just going to make one button where you can add a shared calendar that has all of these on them. So hopefully this should be a lot easier for you to track when these are going to be. And there's also just a other note. There's a FAQ at the bottom. So if I don't answer some questions during this recording, you can of course check these out. But basically, without taking too long, so like I was saying, this is a month-long boot camp. We're gonna have 2 workshops a week. The only exception is this week because of this intro call. So we're gonna have the intro call today, and then like we are right now, and then we're gonna have a workshop on Wednesday and Friday. Usually the best place to know when the workshops are happening is either by adding these to your calendar, but again, we're gonna rework this so that you can add them all at the same time. Or if you go into Discord, and look at my screen here, there's an events tab, and this is where you can view all the events as well. So after this, I will add 2 more for this week. Okay. So that's workshops, okay? And that is the only synchronous part of this boot camp, where we're going to meet together during workshop and we're going to talk about some of the content that you overviewed on your own. So the idea is that for the 8 workshops that are here, there is some content to do, okay? So let's say we click on workshop 1. This is happening on Wednesday. You'll see there are 4 lessons that I want you to do, that we will cover in workshop 1. Now, it is totally fine if you don't do the lessons before the workshop. It is absolutely not a requirement. And in fact, some people actually find it a lot more helpful to do them after the workshop, because it's easier for them to sort of get an introduction with me and then try it on their own. Um, so the good news is that, in these workshops, we're going to cover all of these lessons anyway. Okay. So it's basically like, you're going to learn it with me entirely, and then, you can also learn it on your own, but you can decide if you want to do that before or after the workshop. It's up to you. So let's say we go to workshop 1 and we click on that lesson. It's going to take you to the actual course that we're going to be, following. So by the end of this boot camp, you're going to have gone from, chapter 1, lesson 1, which is right here, all the way down to the end of chapter 5. We're actually not going to be covering chapter 6 because this is a little it's not exactly cadence. It's more how to deploy contracts on testnet. However, I will briefly mention this at the end of the bootcamp, so you can go ahead and deploy your own NFT contract to the Flow testnet, and we're going to be making our own NFT contract in chapter 5. So we'll get there at some point. Okay. So the next thing is, what does each lesson look like? Well, each lesson basically has some text involved. Now, I will warn you that chapter 1 has a lot of text. So don't feel like if you're getting super bored and you're like, Jacob, why are you making me read like an essay? It's fine if you skip this. I would say it's beneficial in the sense that anytime you're coding something, it's good to know why you're coding it and why, like why are we here, right? That's kind of the question we're asking. So it's good to read through these, and you also do have to do quests at the end. I'll get there in a second, but don't worry if this looks like a lot of reading for you. The rest of the boot camp is basically going to be like no reading at all, or it's not going to be That's not true. It's not going to be reading to read. It's going to be reading to code. Like you're going to be learning technical code, and you're going to be coding a lot. So don't worry if this is boring for you. Trust me, it's super boring for me too. Okay. So yeah. So I just wanted to make that clear. Like don't get scared if you hate reading. It's okay. So that brings me to my next point: is what are quests and quizzes? Well, at the end of every single chapter or every single lesson, there are quests and there's a quiz. The quiz is completely optional. So if you want to take the quiz, you can. We're not grading you at all. There's no grading, nothing like that. You could get a 0 out of 10 and no one would care. The quiz is really just for your own feedback, okay? So if it's to make sure that you walked through the lesson and you understood things. The quiz was actually developed by Frankincense, who is not obviously not me. It's a member of the Academy community. So thanks, Frankincense, for doing this. And really, quizzes are basically questions taken directly from the text. So, for example, if we were to go to this lesson, Chapter 2, Lesson 1, the quiz at the end here is literally taken out of the text in here. So it's basically like a sanity check, like did I read this and did I understand it? Whereas the quests at the bottom are, custom made quests that I came up with to sort of test your further understanding, right? Are you understanding this to a depth that, I think is good for you to move on, or do you need to read this content again? Okay, so quests is really where we're testing your skills. And these are required, okay, for the boot camp. So you do have to do the quests. So how do you do the quests is the next question. Well, you can do them however you want. So the quests are basically like little questions. I'll ask you a question and say, do some research, or I'll say, code this contract or whatever it is, and you have to find a notes doc of your choice. It could be Google Docs, it could be a GitHub README, it could be a notes document, it could be a notes software, or whatever you want to use to answer the quest. And then what you'll do is you'll go into Discord, and at the end of each chapter, so by chapter I mean, this is chapter one, or this is, okay, that's, I don't know why it's doing that. This is chapter one, this is chapter two. This is chapter three. So at the end of each chapter, you're going to go into the Quest Submit channel inside the Emerald City Discord, and you're going to paste a link to your submission. And what it'll do is it'll automatically, I'll actually get rid of this so you can see it better. It'll automatically create a thread, and I will grade your quests inside the thread. So this is a great way to get feedback from me. And again, don't worry if you get things wrong. We're not grading you at all. This is just so that I know you're completing, the work, and also so that like I can give you feedback on what you're doing right and what you're doing wrong. So that is what quests are. Okay. Cool. And for the majority of this boot camp, we're going to be using the Flow Playground, so play.flow.com. We're going to be using this. Now, oh, actually, I don't really want to show that because this is something cool I'm working on, but a little sneak peek for those of you that are curious. I'm working on rewriting the Bored Ape Yacht Club contract in Cadence. But yeah, so we're going to be using the Flow Playground a lot, and I will give you an introduction to the Flow Playground on Wednesday session. So, yeah, just this we're gonna be working a lot in here, and a lot of the time, your quests are gonna be essentially sharing with me your Flow Playground, which is essentially just gonna be clicking the share button up top, or there will be a save button, and then once you click save, there's gonna be a little share button, and you'll copy this link, and you'll paste that into your quests. Okay, so um, you know, just that's just showing you how to share your playground. Okay. And I will show you just for the sake of showing you, this is Ricardo. Ricardo was actually an instructor for this boot camp a couple months ago, and you can see how Ricardo does it. So if we open up his quests, you can see he actually stores them inside a GitHub README, and he puts all his answers right here. Now this is a lot of like text, but don't worry, it's going to be more coding. Okay. So I think the other thing I wanted to mention is this lesson right here, 1.3. This is like a chapter 1.5. It's sort of in the middle between chapter 1 and chapter 2. This is completely optional. The only reason this exists is for people who have never really coded before. So, I just want to want to make you aware that this bootcamp has no prerequisites, meaning we don't even require you to know how to code. This chapter will teach you a little bit about programming fundamentals, like what is a variable, what is a function, all that kind of stuff. Of course, this bootcamp will be a lot harder for you if you've never coded before, but that's just the nature of learning. And I would advise you to do trial and error, right? Make mistakes and reach out for help and do the quest because that's definitely the best way to get feedback. Okay, other things I wanted to cover. Oh, if you have any questions during the bootcamp that are developer related, so you're wondering like Cadence questions specifically, the best way to get help is to go to the developer forum, go to this pinned post, and click on this Stack Overflow link. We're moving all Cadence help to Stack Overflow. So again, if you have any questions about how Cadence works or anything like that, definitely go to that link and post under the onflow dash cadence tag. This is the best way to get help. If it's something related to the boot camp or related to quests or more administrative stuff, you can go ahead and ask in the general chat. Okay, so the general chat is the best place to ask otherwise. And then I guess yeah, okay, so that's that. All right. So yeah, that is I think all I wanted to cover. Um, Yeah, like I said, this was going to be pretty short today. I think that was all I wanted to cover. Remember, we're reworking this system so that it's going to be a shared calendar instead, so look out for that. And, again, if you're curious on when the next workshops are happening, you can go to the events tab in Discord, or you can access the shared calendar that we will share with you all on the Bootcamp page. So either one. All right, so the next workshop will be, or actually not the next one, but like the first official workshop will be on Wednesday. Um, so at this time, except an hour later. So it's actually going to be at 12 p.m. Eastern, or I think that's 9 a.m. Pacific, or 11 a.m. Central, which is my time. So again, it'll be the same time on Wednesday, just an hour later, and of course I'll make an event for it as well. BC said, "Have you tweeted today and asked Flo to announce the workshop?" So no, I didn't, and the only reason I didn't was because today was sort of like an intro call. Um, so I think like for the workshop on Wednesday, that's gonna be like the real kickoff. And I will do it for that. But welcome, BC, and hey, Danny. All right. So yeah, that's it. Does anyone have any questions that are here in the Discord? Okay, cool. So yeah, for workshop one on Wednesday, you can read over this content before, or you can wait until after we go over it. Totally up to you. And with that being said, I will see you all on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific. All right. Bye, everybody.